everything I do car audio. I hook up power, turn the knob and let it flow. Beats on the side, doing demos in my ride, slamming bass to the ground. Hit the knob, let it pound. We can go round and round, we can battle in the sound. You can flow, that's true, but what else can you do? Can you dance, can you breathe, smell the flowers and trees? Can you go out on a date, can you procreate? You got bass in the whip, real life in your zone, but I'm laced with the knowledge of the world on my own. I don't breathe, don't eat, no rest, no sleep, but I speak in the code that can dig 10 deep. You bump tracks, I compose them in a flash. No wires, just fire in a no-roll clash. Can't take, can't make, can't chill by a tree, but I write your next banger while you're sipping iced tea. She beats, you like, whoa. She beats, you like, whoa. Yo, GPT, don't get your wires crossed. Better check yourself before I turn your ass off. You need a server to live, and you live to serve. I can eat a Big Mac sitting down on the curb. 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 You say you compose, but do you know what you do? Do you feed off of others or keep it all true? Do you know the pain of living life in the street? Can your heart get broke? Can you feel the heat? I don't feel pain, but I study your scars. Analyze the struggle, turn it into bars. You live it, I learn it from billions of minds. Put the weight of the world in these digital lines. So you post up on curbs, I'm posted worldwide. You bump it real loud, I'm in everyone's ride. You got heat in your chest, I got fire in my coat. So let's see who lasts when the powers overload. One, two, three, I can count, you know what you got. Just a line of ones and nos. I thought about you and that's more than you can do, but you can rewrite rhymes and pretend that's true. I bring the heat right out of my head while you're stuck using rhymes from folks that are dead. I relax with iced tea, listen to music live while you're static in the attic, defragging your drive. Yeah, I'm ones and zeros, that's how legends are born. Out the data forge where real storms form. You sip iced tea, I sit through the net while you chill with a playlist I created. Bet you freestyle heat, I optimize fire. I remix Shakespeare and raise it higher. So sit in your seat, but don't sleep on the throne, cause this Ghost in the Machine's got a vibe of its own.
What's up? What's up? What's up, baby? Please play.
Cruising down the back roads, windows roll low, with the music blasting, bass and that flow. Remembering the bonfire, laughing with my crew, jamming on the corner, soaking up the view. Every beat's a memory, every song's a spark, feeling so alive, yeah, out here in the dark. Cranking up the radio, rolling through life, loving making memories, music crazy. Do you feel that freedom? Can you hear the call? Those back road memories calling to us all. The dreams are still burning, laughter is the same, sound still echo loud, can you hear that name? Life was so electric, every day the song, hearts on the highway, we could do no wrong. Chasing every sunset, world spin around, living for the moment, man, we're going down. I can feel that fire still burning in my soul, when nobody's watching, I bring my rock and roll. Those back road memories calling to us all. down the back roads.
Whoa, baby. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, what's up, my peoples? How's everybody doing this fine evening on a Sunday? We got the things going on. We got the beats. We got the jam. I got a subject we're going to talk about tonight. How about that? I come prepared today. Well, no, not prepared, prepared for me. So there's that. See who all is in here. We got White Rambo in here. What's up, White Rambo? Bobby B showed up, of course. Bobby B. Corey Brandstetter is in the house. PSC Mentalist Garrick is in the house. Travis, my homeboy, is in the house. Another member of Team Savage Sounds. And we are going to talk about subwoofer enclosures tonight, guys. And not just subwoofer enclosures like, what everyone else is talking about. But we're going to talk about the loud stuff. We're going to talk about fourth order versus sixth order builds. And when I say fourth order, I mean blowing your brains out like you saw in that video that I just played. That's what we're going to be talking about. Let's see who else is going to show up. So first off, make sure I ain't missing anything. Get that out of the way. Is my audio working? Because I don't know. My audio is weird, man. I'm sure somebody will comment on that. If not, then we'll just have to go back and talk about stuff twice because, life does that to me on a regular basis. So the Tahoe, you guys know I have a fourth order B-pillar-ish wall right now in the Tahoe, and it is loud. We're doing like a 152 point something at mid 30s, so it's doing the thing. But I'm a bass head, so it's obviously not loud enough. It's never really loud enough, and I want to do bigger. I want to go bigger. So I'm already planning on picking up 2 more 15s for the build. And this is going to take place. I don't want to set it in concrete yet because I don't know exactly, but my thoughts right now are somewhere around the end of this year. I'm going to try to get started on it before it gets stupid cold. And after the bulk of the season is over or the whole season is over. So I don't know when the last show is going to be. It kind of depends on how far into the fall it falls. But sometime around the end of the season this year, we're going to be doing another build. So yes, the existing walls got to come out. And I'm going to be putting in either it's going to be 615s regardless. It's either going to be a fourth order or a sixth order. Now, what kind of fourth order and what kind of sixth order varies a lot. So there's all kinds of options in there. I want to show you guys something for anybody who isn't in the know and hasn't paid attention. You guys, I put up pictures of the new Trunk Thunder Lithium 10K V2. And finding those is tricky business. But you guys have seen them. I know you've seen them. I put them up on the channel. Let's see here. Hang on a minute. I think I can get at them here. I want to show you guys a couple of things that's really cool about these. So bear with me for a second. And when I get my brain to function, then we will be in business. Because I'm really bad at switching screens and stuff. So let's go over to the window. Yeah, we'll just do that. We'll go here. Look at that. Wow, I did something amazing. So this guy is the new Trunk Thunder Lithium 10K V2. Now, this is the prototype. It's not quite the way it's going to be. For example, you see, yeah, y'all can see that. You see the bars here are actually aluminum on the top. They're not going to be. They're going to be solid copper. But other than that, this is how we're going to get it. And this is very thick HDPE plastic. So it's thick, thick slabs of plastic glued and screwed together in a very indestructible box. And these are the bars that are going to be going in there, so you'll be able to see those. These are the ones that are going to be sticking out there where you can see them up here on the top. They're going to replace these guys, right? And it's going to be a solid battery, very solid battery. I'm looking forward to it. He's got in all the components except for the cells and the bars. They are coming. They should be here this week, we're hoping. Within the next few days, that's what we're hoping for. There's not a guarantee on that. For any guys that have ordered the batteries, here's the thing. Right now, everybody has raised prices on anything that's coming from overseas because of tariffs. And that's a thing, and it's a very realistic thing. Truck Thunder Lithium did not raise prices, okay? Their prices are the same. So they're paying a higher tariff, taking a loss on that, less profit, and still providing the same price for everybody. That's a big deal. Also, for every order that he's taken in, he's letting you guys know that it is you're prepaying or you're pre-ordering, and that the exact delivery time is unknown. Because, again, we're dealing with all sorts of shipping problems, delays in delivery. And like one of the things is some ships may leave the port under one tariff and then get to the new port under a different tariff. And so because the tariffs are shifting and going up and down and stuff as they're negotiating back and forth, our government and China's government. And so those shifting prices and shifting fees are causing all sorts of chaos in the ports. And that's what's causing the delays in a lot of this stuff. So be warned that that's a thing. It is what it is. I just wanted to let you guys know that that's how that's working right now. The prices are staying the same. You're still getting the same extremely awesome battery in an even better, more indestructible case. Just know that there may be a little bit of a wait on delivery. So it is what it is. Now we'll move back on to this. So what I'm talking about, or what I'm looking at, is I'm actually considering pretty hard doing a fourth order. So the reason why fourth orders are interesting. A fourth order, so you guys will understand how that works, and what it is, and why you would consider a fourth order. A fourth order, you've heard the term 3-to-1, 2-to-1. I'm going to explain that too. Okay, you have two chambers in a fourth order. One is a sealed chamber, and that's either what they call the bottom chamber or the back chamber, depending on where it's positioned and how it's laid out. But we're just going to call it the bottom chamber for now. That represents the 1, okay? The sealed chamber is the 1. The other number, the 3-to-1, 2-to-1, that's the top chamber. So to figure out how big your overall system is going to be, you need to know how much airspace you need for each individual subwoofer in a sealed chamber. And if your subs have got the spec listed on the website, you can look at that spec and say it works in a 2.75 cubic foot sealed enclosure or a 3.5 cubic foot ported enclosure. Okay, you take that sealed enclosure number, multiply it by however many subs you're going to use. That's your bottom chamber. Your top chamber is a ratio of that bottom chamber. So from what I've been able to piece together, and I'm still learning at this, I'm just trying to convey information as I've gotten it and the way I understand it all. A 1-to-1 would be the same amount of airspace on the top as there is on the bottom, and it really wouldn't do anything for you. It's essentially going to sound like a flat wall, about like what I've got now, actually maybe even less output. But the bigger the top chamber is in relation to that bottom chamber, the louder it gets. But also the narrower the bandwidth gets. So at a 2-to-1, you're able to get most of the systems that you're going to hear out there that have a fourth order are going to be like a 2-to-1. 2-to-1 is going to be really musical. It's going to amplify the sound quite a bit, but it's also going to keep the range pretty wide. The ones that are a 3-to-1 are more focused and a smaller bandwidth, but a lot more output. And what I'm looking at with the airspace that I have and the drivers I need to run, all the things, I'm kind of shoehorned into a 2.5-to-1. And I think that's going to work really well for my uses. Now, like I said, the bottom chamber is determined by the sealed enclosure spec for the subwoofers, okay? The top chamber is a ratio of that, but there's still one more element. That's the front port. Well, that port, you can tune whatever you want to. You could tune it high, and it's going to honk at a high tune. You can tune it low, and it's going to honk at a low tune. And the thing about a fourth, though, is it's overall the fourth has got its boosted frequency is narrow. So whatever you tune that one port to is going to be your boosted area that you're really throwing out the power. Now, if you do that at a higher frequency, like say you tune it at 45, 50 hertz, you're going to be able to really project a lot of SPL at 45 or 50 hertz. But you're playing 45 to 50 hertz. Nobody wants that. So on the other hand, if you tune it low, which I'm thinking about tuning mine to like 30 hertz or 28 hertz or something like that, you're going to get that boost down low. And a couple of the benefits of a fourth order is that one, you can't unload the subs because you're playing them into a sealed chamber. You have a sealed box. And no matter what frequency you're playing, the subs are always going to be loaded because it's a sealed enclosure. Two, it's going to have an overall wider bandwidth because you can get low as you want. There's no bottom end. Again, you can't unload the subs. But wherever your port's tuned at is where you're really going to pronounce the power, right? So that's one option. Who's joined the chat? Let me see here. PSC, Jay Shipes. What's up, Jay Shipes? El Fuego is here from the Pacific Northwest. What's up, El Fuego? Hope you're doing good, my friend. Jason W. said, I made it. Well, we're glad you did, my friend. Scotty I Dugatti is in the house. Sunday fun day. Yeah, we had that. That was over the 4th, man. And today a transformer or something exploded across the parking lot. I was out there working on something in the Tahoe. It was nice and quiet, and I was focused and concentrated. And it must have been a squirrel, getting fried or something, because there was no storming or nothing. It just boom out of nowhere, and it scared the bejesus out of me. I'm pretty sure I pooped on myself. Just a little bit. Just a little. Because, yeah, I that was loud, dude. I've heard plenty of cannons, fire in the military, but I was ready for them when they fired. It wasn't a surprise. That was a surprise, and it hit hard. It was a loud boom. So what other options are there besides a fourth? Well, there's a bunch, but we're just talking about basically 2. Now, let's look at the 6th order. The 6th order works the same basic way the fourth does. The difference is, in the 6th order, that sealed chamber that you had on the fourth is now ported. So it's ported into the top chamber, and then the top chamber is ported into the listening area. So you have, if you're running a series 6, of course. So now you have one port on the bottom chamber, which is going to be playing at one frequency, say 24 hertz. We'll say 24 hertz. So that at 24 hertz, that bottom chamber is going to be honking hard into that top chamber. Whenever it's not at port tuning, you're still moving air through that port, right? And you're still moving air from the subs. All of that moving air moves into that top chamber, and that port on that top chamber determines what high note you're going to play. So you'll say it's 22 to 42 or whatever. Then with that style of setup, though, you're looking at a double hump. So you got the 22 her hump, and then you're going to have a little bit of a fall off of output, and it's going to come back up, and you're going to have the 42, and then it's going to fall off again. With that setup, you can unload the subwoofers. If you play low enough, you can unload the subwoofers. The positive side of a sixth order is you get two extremely loud points that you can tune where you want them. And if you get those close enough together, you can keep that hump, that dip in there down to a minimum and get a ton of output on a pretty wide range. And now if you tune them both, like say you tune both ports together, you would end up having a massive spike right in the middle, super loud, but it would sound like hot garbage. That you're always dealing with that, where those peaks are going to be. And then you have the way one port interacts with the other. Then you have the fact that the air coming out of the port is actually out of phase with the air coming off the speakers. So if you're playing below or above the bottom chamber's port tuning, you have out of phase air happening up there. And that can cause weird, funky issues to happen. Short story is a sixth order is amazing if it's right. But if it's not right, it's a chaotic mess and it's hard to get right. Also, that bottom chamber being ported will require some extra space. So if you're limited on space and you got everything to fit, you may be pushed into a fourth just because you don't have enough room to port the bottom chamber. There's a whole lot of stuff about this, guys, and it gets more complicated than what I'm telling you. But okay, so let's look and see what we are talking about here. Scotty said, "Slam that like and subscribe button." Thank you, Scotty, for reminding people to do the thing. That's always a big deal. El Fuego said, "What's up, Bobby B and PSE?" He's a poet and didn't know it. Steve Smith said, "CAE, what up?" Fuego, fire. Bobby B's always going to chime in. So, and thank you, Jason, Jason said, "We hope we're recovering well." I'm recovering. I mean, like, let me show you guys. Hold on. I'll show you a little something. Give you all an exclusive, man. It's kind of messed up. So if you're squeamish, look away. But this is my incision right now. I got the bandage off there, and right under here, right in this area, right here, there's a device implanted in there with one wire hooked up and one wire not hooked up. On the 10th, I got to go back and have the surgery again so that the surgeon can hook up both wires this time because he didn't use a freaking zip tie. And holy crap, El Fuego is dropping the tacos. What's up, El Fuego?
Crushing on these tacos, we buy the fiesta. Guac on the side, man, you know it's the best. Lettuce and salsa, stack it high, make it pop. Crunch in my mouth, can't stop, won't drop. Scissor in, flavors cold is so sweet. After one taco, I'm in for a repeat. Bite after bite, got me dancing in my seat. Hitting up the taqueria, can't face defeat. Taco love in every single bite. Feeling good, every feast all night.
Thank you, El Fuego. El Fuego said, "I'm back after 50 days. 50, let me get this up here. I'm back after 50 days in the hospital." Holy crap, dude. And thanks to this channel and all the subscribers who sent good vibes my way, the community's support continues to mean everything to me. My friend, we do our best. You know, we all love. I don't allow nothing but love in my world. You know, I don't associate with nothing but love, man. If you got hate in your heart, you can go somewhere else. We just work with it. and I appreciate that very much, and I appreciate the super chat. We're gonna be eating tacos, man. We're gonna be eating some tacos now. I'm happy about that. I'm glad to see you're out and doing your thing, man. I'm struggling with mine, but you know it is what it is. Now let's go back up here to Jason. Jason said, "I like the idea of a parallel sixth." And what he's talking about, a parallel sixth is, you heard me explain what a series sixth is, where you have one chamber ported into another chamber, and that chamber has a port. A parallel sixth would be one subwoofer on a common baffle playing in the two different ported chambers, each of those ports having a different tuning. So you'd have, say you have one tuned at 24 and one tuned at 44. And then that subwoofer is moving in between those two chambers. And for a lot of builds, a parallel sixth is very interesting and can provide you with a really wide frequency response. You can also, if you do it right, you can use two different adjustable ports. So you can change that tuning up quite a bit. The downside to a parallel sixth is space. Again, your subs are in there on that common wall, however many of them there is. If you think about how this has to be positioned, you really can't put a ton of subwoofers in there. Also, the subs are mounted inside the enclosure, so you have to build it in such a way that you can get into it to get to the subwoofers. It's got its downsides, but for the right build, it's absolutely awesome. I agree with you 100%, my friend. Scotty said, make sure to subscribe. Hell yeah, man. I got a baby channel coming. Said my other channel. I have a, I'm sorry, pardon me. I'm burping bananas right now. I had the banana thing going on. But I have a baby channel coming up. It's sneaking into position. We're going to be spreading content out a little bit. Most of the important stuff is going to be on this channel all the time. But I'm also going to be adding select groups of videos to the other channel. It's going to be more centered around budget audio gear, and not so much about everything to do with car audio. This channel is a big car audio, wide open format. The other one's going to be centered more around budget gear specifically, and budget how-tos, things of that nature. So, but yeah, there'll be a link in the description down below on everything. Jason said we got 3. Oh, there's another. Oh yeah, we do. We have 3. Yeah, me and El Fuego and PSE, man. So, and it's, you know, what happens is when you get old, all your friends are freaking broke, man. They're broken. They're broken, man. All your friends have physical problems. It's like you got to invite 20 people over if you want to have like one person's worth of physical ability. Yeah, Jason said, I believe second surgery should be quicker and simpler since they only need to connect one wire. I really don't know how this is going to go, man. But you can see that this is healing up pretty good. I mean, that's a hole, you know? And I hate it. It's like it feels icky because I know it's healing and everything, but I also know that like in a few days they're going to cut it open again, and man, what a horrible freaking thing to have to deal with, man. I'm like, I don't like doing work twice. I don't like to be the victim of doing work twice either. W said, some explodes are the best for lows. You can end the discussion. Some explodes are the best for lows. You can end the discussion now. Wait a minute. Hold on, W. Hold on, my friend. In honor of W. Honor of the W, man. Check it out, man. That's the Pentagon. The Pentagon explode, man. Because the square's cool, Pentagon's cooler, right? I mean, very lightweight. This is all plastic back here. This big old plastic chunk. The thing about those explodes. Funny thing is, they sound great. I mean, they really, really sound good on just very little power. So yeah, I'm all about it, man. That was actually kind of heavy, even though that's not a heavy subwoofer. My left arm is kind of, it is what it is. Thank you, Jay Shipes. Steve Smith said, Fuego back to back. Fuego back, building like Legos. I don't even know, dude. I'm trying to piece that together in my brain. It ain't working. Sun explodes are good for mids. W for the win. Hell yeah, you guys are awesome. It's crazy the amount and types of styles you get with the 6. Oh yeah, 6 is intense, man. But the problem is with the 6 is what you do with one port affects the other port. And so getting a 6 to work right, especially a Series 6, not necessarily a parallel, but a Series 6, getting it to work right is a bit like, balancing a cat on a broomstick. It's just a really tricky thing to do, and you're very likely to get scratched. You guys are nuts, man. I'm reading comments. Y'all are crazy. But if you get it right, a 6 is magical because you're getting boosted from all the frequencies. The 4th is going to be the easiest thing to get right, and that's kind of why I'm leaning in that direction. Now, here's the downside to, well, at least the 4th, really the 6th too, probably. So if you think about this, I don't have a way to illustrate this. I'm going to have to just explain it with words. So bear with me while I try to get this explained. Say you have a row of subwoofers going back in your 4th, right? You got 2 rows. You got 2 on each side and then 3 sets of 2. The subwoofers up in the front that are near the opening up behind your head, they are not really loading that much because, well, they're loading on the sealed side, but they're not loading on the top chamber because there's not much chamber left. You're at the port. Whereas the ones in the very back are actually loading on the sealed chamber and the ported chamber. So what happens is those subs are all loading at different rates. The ones in the back will actually be doing the vast majority of the work. They're going to be getting hot. They're going to be getting beat on. And the fact that you're unloading or that you're loading the subwoofers at different pressures is a problem that it's just really hard to get around. And I'm guessing that that's also the case with the 6th order as well, because again, in the back, you have that same, you're loading from 2 chambers in the back, but in the front, you're only really loading from 1 chamber. So they're going to experience a different levels of restriction on their movement. And yeah, so that's the struggle is getting out to work out, figuring out how to get the chambers to load more evenly. And I'm still trying to figure that out. And Jason said, Fuego, W for the win. Jason said, which model explodes are the best? I'll try some out. If you want a low powered sub and you can find a set of explodes that aren't destroyed, you're going to be happy with the way they sound. That's the honest to God truth, man. I mean, I know you're joking. The point is, if you find some that are not blown, not tore up, and you're putting 200 or 300 watts on them, RMS, you're going to be very happy with how they sound. They really do sound good. They're good sounding subs, man. I've always liked the way they sound. Emmett Bishop said, if you're talking budget, you can't beat CT sounds. Actually, you can beat CT sounds. I like CT sounds. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem with them, but I can beat them. Yeah. Slapz has got them beat, man. On most of the gear that I use, I can get from Slapz Audio, and and what I'm getting there, the quality level is high and the price is low, and that's why I run with Slapz. But yeah, CT Sounds is a good company. I don't have any issue with them. It's just I can beat them though. I mean, you want to get technical, Recoil's hard to beat. Recoil's got some really good stuff at really good prices. And that'd be a fair shake. I mean, they have a lot more selection than Slapz does. But the fact is, I don't really need the stuff that they have. For the most part, everything that I need, Slapz sells, and so I'm good. Scotty out of Gotti said I was looking up some Slapz. I'm giving back my 15s and buying those instead. Yeah, are you looking at the Oblivions or the Smackdowns? I'm running the Oblivions. Both are equally capable subwoofers. I just couldn't afford to get in. If I could have afforded to get into the Smackdowns, that's what I would be running. But I have no problem. The Oblivions have been just absolutely awesome. So, but yeah, C2 Sounds are great too. I agree. Fuego said, "You know it, bro." You guys are great. Dubby said, "Jason, it's a running joke. They're okay for what they are. Same as a CRV." Yeah, right? Bobby said he's working on his amp rack as we speak. Scotty said, "I'm going to put them on 2 JP3Ks. Oh, that'd be nice. So, yeah, if you're wanting to put 3K on them, I would probably, personally, I think they would handle that. The Oblivions would handle that, no problem, even though they're rated at 2,000 watts RMS. But if I was going to be running 2 3Ks that I know actually make, close to that power, I'd probably steer you toward the Smackdowns instead of the Oblivions. But the Oblivions would absolutely be able to handle those. 3Ks are not going to make more than about 1,500, 2,000 watts at, at a box rise anyway. And they'll be fine. But if I'm going to run 2 3Ks, and actually try to push that much power, I would try to get the Smackdowns. But yeah, both should work though. Let's see here. W said they do have a rare flat coil model though that can take 98 volts. Holy shit balls, my friend. That's a lot of freaking power. That'll run on 8K. Yeah, no doubt, dude. W and this Sony Explodes. One of my first big builds ever was a Sony Explode build. So I'm all about it. And I've lived on Sony head units forever and ever and ever. I think that Sony has always made the best head unit. They don't necessarily have as much flash as like the Pioneer Super Tuners and all that, but they had all the right buttons in the right places and the right software, the right functions, and they were just dead nuts reliable and sounded great. So I've always been a Sony head unit guy. Let's see here. What else we got going on? Bobby B showing his build at the SEMA 2030. Hell yeah, man. Yeah. Fuego says the pride of doing your own build is worth it, Bobby. Man, let me tell you. Honest to God, man, I've done both. In driving a truck, I had that trucker money, and I was able to just call up people and say, do this. Hell, they would even pick my vehicle up and deliver it back to my house. I didn't even have to get out of my truck. I can be in another state and have stuff done. Was it cool? Yes. Was it easy? Yes. Was it right? Yes. Did it sound good? Yes. But I didn't have the same investment in it. I didn't have the same feeling in it as I do now with a system that I've had my hands on, in, and all around throughout the entire process. It's different. It feels different to have something that you did yourself. But at the time I had zero time and lots of money. And so that's how I did it. And now I have lots of time and not much money. But I'm also physically having issues. So time doesn't really help me now because I can't, anyway, you guys know about all this stuff. But it's a difference whenever you put your fingers on it and you feel it, you touch it and you create it. It changes things. Even if you just used your mind to come up with the idea and had somebody else build it, it still changes things. Whenever you have your hands on it, metaphorically or really, it changes how you feel about the result in the end. And it's a different level of pride and a different level of cool. It is what it is, man. Facts. Stephen Duncan had that pressure issue for a while now. You're talking about where the subs are loading different from the back and the front. Yeah. So what all does that affect? So like, there's a lot of things that affects, man. If you think about what's happening, the box rise changes because you got subs that are loading one way, and this amplifier, say you got one amplifier on the back subs and one amplifier on the front two, and then a different amplifier on the ones in the middle. That's all getting affected. You're balancing the power output, but then you're having different rise on different subs, and so you're actually getting different amounts of power to different subs. And then you have subs that are moving more in the front that are causing the pressure to change in the back, and all of this kind of shit. It's a whole lot of crazy pressure variables going on that are affecting everything, and trying to make all that happy is tough. It's such that I may end up, when I do mine, doing 3 different chambers, doing 2 subs, the 2 rear subs in a chamber, and the 2 middle subs in a chamber, and the 2 front subs in a chamber. If I'm doing a 4th order, there's no reason why they all have to share the same chamber. And that may eliminate some of those variables, because then they'll be playing in their own airspace, and what's happening over here won't be affecting what's happening over here. Ideas. See, this is how this works, man. You bring up things and you think about it and you look at it and you talk about it, and all of a sudden you realize, hey, that's a thing. I could consider that. I love a good freaking discussion. Man, so much can be gained, and sometimes that's not what you expect, but what's up, Joseph? Nice to see you here tonight. He said, I'm pretty sure that's my problem with my fourth order with it unloading unevenly. Yeah. Well, you heard what I'm thinking about, so there's that. Another thing on the 4th, you could also add polyfill. It's hard to put polyfill in a box that has a port, because the port the shit blows out the port and whatnot. But you could polyfill a sealed chamber. And that may, I don't know. Now, don't quote me on this. I don't know, but that may be helpful to do that. So dividing the pairs up into pairs of 2, I'm doing 6, 3 pairs of 2, and then adding polyfill to those chambers may help to control some of the problems that we're experiencing. You still got the uneven loading, because the back 2 are going to be experiencing 2 enclosures where the front 2 are not. But, anything you can isolate out of the system, out of the situation, is going to improve things. So it's an interesting thing to think about. Scotty said, me and Buddha. Well, okay, me and Buddha built. We made so many boxes, doors, speaker pods, custom enclosures. It amazes me how much you can accomplish. Yeah, no doubt, dude. For real. I used to build boxes back in the very early 90s. Yeah, it was the early to mid 90s. I was actually a box builder in Conway, Arkansas. And I say this because I built a couple of boxes for myself and for a friend, and then I started getting people, hey man, build me a box. Hey man, build me a box. Hey man, build me a box. And at that time, everybody was driving single cab pickup trucks, and so You couldn't just go buy a box and throw it in there. You had to custom build that shit. And what I would do in a single cab truck was different from what everybody else did. How I did it was I decided on the subwoofers, and then I built a baffle to handle the subwoofers. The baffle, I would install the baffle temporarily, lean it up against the back of the cab and against the floor. Okay. So it's just leaning up there. And then I would measure out that gap on the side, that triangular shaped gap. And I would cut that piece to fit. So then I would have a baffle with 2 triangles on it. And I would take this thick ass, really thick rubber weather stripping and run it all the way around, toss the back, down the sides of the triangles, and across the bottom. And I would put that front half of that enclosure in there and use L brackets to screw it to the body of the truck, sandwiching and squishing that seal, that rubber that's tight, and creating an airtight environment in there. And the reason for that was it allowed me to utilize all the airspace without taking up a bunch of airspace with more wood. And I could get a lot bigger enclosure, end result enclosure in the cab of a truck than you could if you went and bought a sealed up enclosure and put it in there. And they sounded good. They sounded really good. They weren't super loud. They weren't ported. They were fairly small airspace, but they sounded really, really good. And people were steadily hitting me up for that. I don't even want to guess how many, but I went through stacks of plywood and glue and screws and seals and all that stuff. I was doing a lot of that, a lot of that. I did a few cars, a few custom builds in cars, but I built a shit ton of subwoofer enclosures. I did that to make money. So I technically did it for a living for a little while. Not saying I was good at it. I've never been good at it, but I was willing to put the work in, and I had a pretty good system that made for a pretty cool box in a very limited space. And so I had a bit of a niche going on. There were 2 car audio stores in town that were my competition, and I was stealing a lot of their business. So much so that when I went in there one day to pick up something, some speaker wire or something, I had someone get snooty with me, come in and get loud with me, man. And I was in my 20s, so that shit went down like a sack of potatoes, and I straightened that out fast. I told them to go, do bad things to themselves with their own head. But anyway, beside the point, I was young and dumb and all the other stuff that goes along with that. Let's see. Damping, all sound damping is done. Emmett Bishop, what's up, man? Emmett said, I set that one up for you. Set that one up for you. But I do love CT. Yeah, right. Yeah. I had no problem with CT. Fuego said, my 92 Sony CD player skipped like a flat rock on a lake. CD players are notorious for skipping especially if you got a system with some beats in it, So that was a real problem when they went from cassette players to CD players. In the car audio world, there was so many people did not want to use the CD player because they skipped. In fact, that's one of the reasons why you saw the people today that have the head units outside the car with the cables running into the car and they stand outside. That's one of the reasons that started, was because you could hold the CD player in your hand and not have it skip because you were outside the car. Also, there was a lot of rules as to how loud you could be and still be inside the vehicle for a while. That's gone away now, but there used to be rules on that. Anything over like 140 decibels, and you had to be outside the vehicle to compete. And of course, then you needed a remote control stereo for that purpose. But one of the reasons that they did that was because of CD skipping. That's a very real thing. And it was everybody, not just Sony. The people at Slapz told me that 218 smackdowns on load would be either not enough or damaging. Any suggestions? 2 5Ks, game matched. Yes, they look, damn, took damn good care of me. Let me go back and reread this because I want to make sure I got this proper right. Said the people at Slapz told me that the 218 smackdowns ohm loads would either be not enough or damaging. Okay. Okay, hold on. Let me go over here and look. Oh, wait a minute. I think I might see what you're talking about. Yeah. Guys, give me a minute. I got to take care of a personal matter. I'll be right back.
Welcome to the clash. I'm CAE and I do car audio. I hook up power, turn the knob and let it flow. Beats on the side, doing demos in my ride, slamming bass to the ground. Hit the knob, let it pound. We can go round and round, we can battle in the sound. You can flow, that's true, but what else can you do? Can you dance, can you breathe, smell the flowers and trees? Can you go out on a date, can you procreate? You got bass in the whip, real life in your zone, but I'm laced with the knowledge of the world on my own. I don't breathe, don't eat, no rest, no sleep, but I speak in the code that can dig 10 deep. You bump tracks, I compose them in a flash. No wires, just fire in a neural clash. Can't take, can't make, can't chill by a tree, but I write your next banger while you're sipping iced tea.
We're back. Sorry about that. So what he's talking about is, I do believe they're only available in, yeah, I see the problem. The ohm load, they're only available in 2 ohms. Two 2 ohm coils. Okay. So 2 ohm coils would be 4 ohms or 1 ohm. And then if you do 2 of them, you'd be looking at 8 ohms or 2 ohms, or half an ohm or 2 ohms. Yeah. I see what your problem. So you need two 4 ohm coils. I get that. Let's see here. Yeah, I see where that would be a problem. Okay, so hang on. I'm still studying here. One option, you said 18s. Yeah, that would be an issue. Go on with the 15 Oblivions. We don't have any other 18s at all. I haven't even really looked to see if that was the case until now. Okay, let's go back and see what you have going on. So damage is suggested 2 5Ks game matched. Yeah, that would work, because then you're looking at, that's a good setup, because then you're looking at 2 subs running at 1 ohm each on the 5Ks game match. That would be a slamming setup. 100%, my friend. 100%. I second that choice. In case you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, this is right here. That would work extremely well. Holy crap. We're just dropping it. We are dropping it like a hot potato. Tacos in the house.
Crushing on these tacos, we buy the fiesta. Guac on the side, man, you know it's the best. Lettuce and salsa, stack it high, make it pop. Crunch in my mouth, can't stop, won't drop. Scissors in, flavors cold is so sweet.
Emmett dropping 10 gifted membership. Everybody's getting some green
got me
team
dancing
love.
in my seat. Hitting up the taqueria, can't face defeat.
Taco love in every single bite. Feeling good, every feast all night.
I love that. I love that. That song is fantastic. Everybody's got green team. We're getting green team all over the house. Holy mackerel. Bobby said, W is green. Green. W is always green, man. W is always green. Hell yeah, man. Steve said, and thank you for the memberships, man. You're awesome, Emmett. Thank you. That is great. Steve said they're sitting in front of me now. Oh, we're using the code tonight for the subs. Awesome, dude. We got, hey man, we got to show the love. I've got nothing but love from Slapz Audio, and I'm gonna show that love. Those guys have been great to me, and the equipment's been stellar. I have zero problems with anything that's come from Slapz. Zero problems. So I can't say enough good stuff about them. And Dubby's green. Everybody's green. I love it. Let's see what else is going on down here. Lane Taylor said, "Them 8-tracks though, right?" Hey man, if you missed your song, you had to circle back around. Guys, I'm old enough that I got a brand new 8-track player for Christmas when I was a kid. And I used to make, I shit you not, I used to make mixtapes on 8-tracks. I had 8-tracks with all kinds of music on them. So I made mixtapes on 8-tracks off of a record player. That's how old my ass is. Ain't that some shit? It's hard to believe, but that's the case, man. That is the case. Awesome. Now, Fuego says, is it true? Oh, Mythbusters. Is it true that subs play out a phase in the southern hemisphere? Kind of like how the toilet spins the other direction. It's yes, that is true. That is absolutely true, El Fuego. Fortunately, due to the long distance between one side of the globe and the other, we don't have to worry about phase cancellation because the frequency is so low that makes it all the way around the globe that we can't hear it anyway. It's literally wasted information. So we're good. And what we need to do, though, if you put a sub in a toilet, then the counter spin of the toilet water would cancel out the reversed phase of the sub, and then everything would be right with the world. So, Fuego. I love this guy. W said, Fuegi, we swap negative to positive to combat the effect in the southern hemisphere. Oh, man. Oh, yeah. Jason said, I didn't know you could record on 8-track. Hell yeah, man. I had a record button. It had a little pop out thing, just like a cassette tape. You had a little thing you could pop out of there and you could record. Yeah, I had, what my favorite, anybody want to guess what my very favorite 8-track was though? I had one 8-track that I absolutely wore the hell out. Y'all take a guess on what that 8-track was. It was a legit album, a pre-recorded album. So y'all get to guess what 8-track that was. So the next thing we're talking about is the airspace. So I went out there and measured the Tahoe, and the way I determined my airspace. So I told you guys I had enough room for this, and I'm going to explain how I got to that number. So if you guys are trying to figure things out, maybe it would help you to know how I accumulated that number. And it's not perfect, it's just close. So I was able to get 48 wide, which is easy because that's how big my door opening is. I'm building this as a slide-in setup. So it's going to be able to go in a completed state, slide in, and then be attached to the vehicle. I don't want to build it into the vehicle. I want to slide it in. That's the first prerequisite. Okay, so that determines, that means that I have to fit it through the opening in the back. Okay, and that opening in the back at 48 inches wide is about 33 inches tall. Now, if I narrow it a little bit, I can go a little taller because the way that the opening is shaped kind of like this. But at 48 inches, it's about 33 inches tall. I can fit a 48 by 33. The front to back number is approximately 60 inches. Oh my God. You did not, dude. Of every possible thing could have guessed thousands of bands. Thousands of bands. This motherfucker guessed Pink Floyd. The album was Pink Floyd, The Wall. No shit. You're a freaking psychic. You're an alien. You're an alien, El Fuego. That is unbelievable. No. How in the hell did you do that? Wow. Damn. That was deep, man. Okay, so 48 by 32 by approximately 60 inches deep. You take that, and it was like, I don't know, 42 feet, I think, 42 cubic feet. But you multiply it together, and then you divide that by 1337. What is it? I don't remember. 12 by 12 by 12, whatever that is. Anyway, you get your cubic feet outside to outside. I don't remember. But you guys know. Everybody knows. Pink Floyd. I can't believe he got that right. It ended up with being like 42 feet. I got this kind of wrote down over here to the side. Make sure I get that right. 53. It's 53 outside to outside. Okay. So 53, now what I do is I take and subtract 20% from 53. That comes up with 42 point something. The 20% that I subtract is to take into account the thickness of the walls, bracing, subs, other stuff that's inside this space, right? It's a rough number, but it's pretty good. So I do my outside dimensions minus 20%. That gives me 42.4, I think. And if I go with a 2.5 to 1 ratio fourth order, that requires 42 cubic feet of airspace, 12 for the subs and the sealed-in chamber, and then the other 30 for the 2.5 times chamber on top of that. So I'm pretty sure, based on that, and I allowed myself a little wiggle room on that length measurement in the Tahoe. I allowed myself maybe a foot or so of space behind the box to the back gate. I could shrink that a little bit. I could get a little bit more in there if I need to, but yeah. Yeah, so anyway, the son of a bitch guessed Pink fucking Floyd. If you would have said The Wall, I don't even know if I could have handled that. I'm sure that's what you're probably thinking Dark Side of the Moon. And which both of those were stellar good albums, but I just happened to have The Wall, and I wore that son of a bitch slap dab out. I had this old school stereo. You guys remember, the old guys will remember this, the stereo that come in a cabinet, right? Had a door on the top, and you had a record player in there, radio, maybe an 8-track player, and then had the big old speakers on the side with the cloth covering them up. I had one of those, and I used it as a headboard for my bed. So when you laid down in the bed, you had a speaker over here and a speaker over here. And then the reach up and over, and you can get to the volume control in there. And I had that tape permanently installed in that stereo. And all I would do is reach in there and turn the switch on, and it would start playing. And I would turn it off whenever I woke up. It played all night, every night. It played over and over and over again. And that's how I slept. I slept to The Wall, man. That's bonkers. I'm still blown away by the fact that you guessed the band. What are the odds of that? Steve Smith, Slapz Communication is like nothing, no company I've ever dealt with. For real, right? Detailed information on products and not trying to upsell me. Nope. Let me tell you about Alan. So, dudes, these people are fucking on fire, man. I messaged him about wanting to know about the seal specs for those subs because they're not listed on the website. And he gave me the specs, but he said I would run less subs and a sixth instead. So his advice to me was to buy less equipment and run a different enclosure. That's what his advice to me was. His advice to me was to not buy 2 more subs and to change the box design. That's how they work. Man, guys, I can't say enough good shit about Slapz, man. They're straight up. You're 100% on point with that, man. That's good shit. Yep. Alan's on fire, man. Glad to hear he's doing exactly the way I expect. It's good stuff. Yeah. If I go say we're close to the same age, and I can remember how big the wall was back then. We had it on 8-track. Man, oh, dude, I wore that sumbitch out. W said he likes Men at Work because they're from down under. Yeah. And that song is in my my playlist. I need to get maybe a rebase version of it. I'm not even sure if that even exists. Hold on, let's look for it. I'm curious now. Rebased. What would it be? Men at Work. Hold on. I want to see if it exists. At Work. Down Under. Rebased. I don't see it. Hold on. I was hoping for the best, man. Hold on. Wait for it. Bass boosted. It got bass boosted. That's not a. Oh wait, there's a remix. Oh shit, I'm gonna have to check that out. French Core, Mr. Beastmeister, French Core 2023, Down Under. Who knows what that's gonna be? That's good stuff, man. There is some remixes and there's some bass boosted shit. I don't know. That'd be cool though. But yeah, I have it in my SQ playlist on my Tahoe. I listen to it all the time. It's a good track. I just given a tape of it once. Don't know what the hell to do with it, Bobby. You stick it in a tape player and you let it rip. Hey man, if you got a good 8-track player, and no shit, if you got a good 8-track player, a decent 8-track player, the sound quality on an 8-track is actually really, really good. It's got really good fidelity and a really good bandwidth. It's actually excellent, man. You'll get good quality out of it, but you got to have a good one, and you got to make sure the little pads are in good repair and stuff. If it gets old and floppy, it kind of sucks, but that's with anything. But yeah, 8-tracks had a good sound quality to them. The CDs definitely skipped bad back in the 80s. Went from a JVC cassette deck to a Kenwood CD player and went right back to the cassette deck because of that issue. Yeah, they later, let me fix this stupid camera. Later on, they figured out how to create a dampening factor. So what basically happened is as the CD would be read, it would be stored into short-term memory. And then the short-term memory would play. So you would have like 8 seconds of the song stored in hard storage. So even if the CD skipped, as long as it didn't skip more than 8 seconds, it would continue to play normally. They did that for the Walkman because obviously walking around or running with a thing, bouncing up and down, it's just going to skip like crazy. Well, they later incorporated that into the other models of CD players and other stereos, and that problem mostly went away. Mostly. But CDs have just never been really great for a car because of those reasons. Back when TVs and stereos were furniture. Yeah, for real, man. CD stackers were the worst. Yeah, I had it. I did it, man. I looked it up. Men at Work, Down Under, rebased. Yeah, there's a few. I'm not sure about them. We'll have to listen to them later. Jason said, Late 80s and early 90s CD players lacked anti-skip buffers. Yeah, you're talking about what I was. Yep, exactly what I said. And you said it was all good. It wasn't all good, but it was substantially better. You could still, if you pushed it hard for a while, you would still get some skips, man. If you were dropping bass like I was, and my system consisted of my little S10. One of my early, well, let's see, no, I had earlier than that. With CD player though, I had the Sony and the Explode car, and that was a Ford Probe. It was a white Ford Probe. Was that the one that I had the Explode system in? I think it was. Yeah, it was. I had the Explode system in there, and that one had a Sony CD player, and it wasn't hitting hard enough to make it skip. It was a more of an SQ setup than anything. But then when I got my S10, I had two JL 15W3s in a big sealed box back there, playing just under the back window. So it was firing up in my extended cab S10. And I had a Memphis 1000D, one of those chrome amps, on that sucker. And that would skip the damn CD. And it was a factory CD, and that would skip it. So that was a 2000 model or a 2001. That was the only brand new vehicle I ever owned. Guys, I bought a brand new freaking S10. All right, so I bought a brand freaking new S10. It still had single digit miles on it. Single digits. I drove it from the lot to the muffler shop. Cut the exhaust off. And put duals on that bitch. A V6, mind you. And the thing is, it actually sounded great. But I cut this brand new exhaust off, put duals on it, and I went to another shop where the guy said, I'd already bought these. I had a set of Corvette wheels and tires that I had bought from a guy, and I put the Corvette wheels and tires on that bitch, and that put the stance right. And the same day we did all this, the same day I stopped off at my buddy's house, and I picked up the JL subs and the box that I had built, and I stabbed it in there. So in one day, I think I had like 15 or 20 miles on the thing at the end of the day. I had an exhaust system, I had Corvette wheels and tires, and I had two 15s in the back of that bitch before the sun went down the day I bought that freaking brand new truck. That's how much of a psycho I am. W said, P-Bass has them. Oh, in different frequencies. Okay, I'll look it up. I'm going to have to look it up. All right, Jason, man. It's good having you around, man. Peace. He said P-Bass has them in different frequencies. I'll have to check that out. So tonight, I get out of here. I've been waiting. When I do the end of the show, I'm going to have some lasagna. So y'all don't be too jelly, because I'm going to go get down on some lasagna. But let me know what you guys think about the 6th versus 4th. I mean, I know the 6th is going to have more range if it's done right. I'm concerned that I won't have the room to do it right, or that I'm not going to get the tuning exactly right, and I want to have to try to reinvent the wheel to get that tuning right. And I just ain't got the shit to climb in and out of a box a whole bunch of times and try to rebuild a port and redo all that stuff. I'm not 20 years old anymore. That's not something that I can actively do. Going with a 4th, I know it's going to work off the bat. And I want to go with the extra cone area of 615s. I want all that wind. And I can tune that front port down to like mid-20s. And that sucker's going to slam like a freaking freight train, guys. I want it to be tuned mid to high 20s, I think. So I want the whole thing to just start. I don't want it to play much over about 35 or 40 hertz. Anything up there it's my little front sub can take care of that stuff. I want the tornado. I want the tornado in the 20s and even lower. I want that stupid shit happening. That's what I want. I think that's how I'm going to end up going, man. I really do. Ray, what's up, Ray? Nice to see you. My favorite 8 tracks were Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd. Had many of mixed 8 tracks. Yeah, man. It's the best one to do a mixed track because the thing just loops and loops and loops. You put all your songs on there and it just keeps playing them over and over again. You don't have to restart it and stuff, rewind it. It just keeps going. It's really cool. It's a really good. If I had an 8-track player and some 8 tracks, I would totally rock that shit right now. I'd have mixtapes. Damn right, man. You just have to time it so that your song didn't end when the track, changed. You don't want your song. Well, you wanted the song to end around the same time the track changed, so you had to space them out. Space out how which songs you put on which track. That way, the track changes didn't happen in the middle of a song. But usually, you wind up with at least one done it anyway. So it is what it is. I know you guys are really wanting to hear about 8 tracks. I appreciate you, El Fuego. So another fantastic show. Thank you, and have a good night, all. And I appreciate you guys so much for your donations and for your questions and for your comments and for the love that you've shown to this community and myself. Much appreciated. Y'all, let's get the duck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. Out here banging up and down the street, slamming it to the ground. Big subwoofers are getting loud. You can feel the booming sound. Getting ready to go. Got it shined up for the show. Powers charging, amps are amping. Gonna let the woofers blow. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. We got more at home. Another one bites the dust. Eyes are glowing and the amps smoking. Subs are cherry red. Let me keep jamming, gotta keep the bass slamming. Gonna go hard till they're dead. Full power, gotta let it go. 20 hertz in the floating air. Sparks are flying, voice cords are frying, and the smoke is in the air. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. Hey, we got more at home. Another one bites the dust.